Hey, good afternoon, folks. I'm Martin Lind, very involved in the airport in Northern Colorado land development. And there's a lot of questions and concerns about the hangar issues out at FNL, the recent eviction issue with all our general aviation pilots. And I am going to produce a quick video here. And we found this to be a very valuable tool because it does several things. One, it's irrefutable. It's pure document. Two, if I'm not being truthful or honest, or if I'm misleading, I can be held accountable for that because everything's on record here now. So I'm going to start this really quick, and I'm going to tell you what I know about this project. This project didn't start a week ago with evictions and an emergency ordinance and safety concerns. This project started 2 years ago on May 26th when the airport manager made a recommendation on a virtual meeting with the subcommittee to eliminate the T hangars and lease this area to the Jet Center. Now I want to be crystal clear. I have no issues with the Jet Center. I think the world of them. I use them. We send a lot of customers to them. This is not about me and Discovery Air and the Jet Center. This is about fairness and parity and the general aviators that have built our airport and how they're being treated. But this started May 26th, and ironically, in that presentation, which was approved by the subcommittee to take to the regular board meeting following month, it was approved, and this was included in the package that the subcommittee got to see. The first phase of this project was going to produce $16,000 annually, give or take, but here's the fact, it was 30 cents a foot. Tear out all the hangars that are currently there and produce 30 cents a foot. Over 9 years, the rent came up to about, if you add these together, you're going to get about $170,000, give or take. However, I do agree with the airport that this solution produces more jet fuel sales. So there is going to be an increase in sales. But there's a delta between the sales of what those GA pilots are buying avgas for and what this will produce in jet sale. So it isn't a 1-to-1 ratio, but you're going from currently, according to the budget, $240,000 a year in hangar rental to $16,000 a year. In my world, economically, I don't get to do that. I don't get to go backwards on financials, especially at an airport where we're constantly battling financial issues. But if you take the actual $240,000 that was disclosed on the airport's budget of that revenue, and if you just simply cap rated that revenue at 8% cap all the way to 6, this revenue is worth to an investor somewhere between $3 and $4 million. Well, how that works is, if you don't like the hangars and you need them rebuilt, you go out to the public and you say, hey, we have this revenue stream. Does anybody want it? And then they would go figure out what it would cost to build those. And if there's room between that number and the cost to rebuild, they'd probably buy it. And they would go out. So the actual data here does not reflect good decision making to evict the GA population that's paying this much to an airport that has no money. Okay, now we're fast forward into December of 21. Remember, the May is when this whole thing started. The airport board decided to RFP it. So in December, an RFP was published and requested for proposals. Interestingly enough, in this proposal, this was very clear. Incomplete proposals will not be considered. This is a public RFP, and it says incomplete proposals will not be considered. Remember that, because quite frankly, our company's invested a lot of money in an RFP, and this is it. And we submitted it. It says right here, the cities will not limit proposals. So first, they have to be very complete, but secondly, we have kind of a wide bandwidth to present on these two areas the city wants RFP'd. Our company made a proposal for the area that we're all talking about right now, where the eviction notices are going out and the demolition is going to occur. And we presented saving these buildings. And we presented adding a self-fueling station in one corner of it. We had to take a few of them out right here. But we proposed going in, restructuring them, reskinning them, making them very attractive, a nice front door to our airport, and saving the GA population. I'm not going to get into every single one of these, but I'm going to put it on video so you can see our response to every single one. We submitted for both Site A and Site B in the RFP. Site B was up here at the corners of Earhart and Lindbergh. Currently, Lear Drive separates this parcel from the airport, but highest and best use would dictate bringing the taxiways through, vacating Lear, accessing Cessna down through Lindbergh, and having a nice presentation to the airport by putting the backside of the hangars with a nice architectural feature outside, encompassing the inside, even with maybe open air hangars, even more affordable, which we don't have at this airport. We do know there's a waiting list for all of these customers. That's Site B. That was requested RFP. Remember, incomplete RFPs are not going to be considered, and we have the bandwidth to propose whatever we want. We propose both A and B. Again, I'm going to file through these so you can see exactly what we submitted. The RFP took a lot of energy and a lot of time to submit. Background on the company, background on our projects, references from people and people we've done business with. The other project on the airport we're currently doing, Discovery Air. Other projects we've done in the region. So on and so forth. Again, a lot of work. In our proposal, we compared the one from May that had been done for this area, and we gave the reasons why we feel ours was better than that proposal for the general aviation population. This is our Discovery Campus and all of the things that we learned there, applying, including a self-fueling station. Bear in mind, I have visions of an FBO at Discovery Air soon, so a self-fueling station doesn't really benefit our companies, but it certainly benefits the GA population. I've been at most of the airport meetings since 2006, constantly requested by our GA population. And our studies showed that an increase of almost $300,000 in avgas would happen if we had a self-fueling station at our airport. So here's the bottom line. We achieved a desired rate, and this is very important. And that's why we're here today. No displacement of the current and potential income. Addition of new GA square footage, 120 new opportunities for our general aviation. Increase in GA fuel sales. No displacement of our GA or our flight schools. We're maintaining relationships with the people that built this airport. This was our RFP. Final summary page. More elevations from different angles. Final correspondence where after we submitted, we received this. The RFP selection committee, in order to continue to engage, we need to develop Site A in large hangars. So remember, the original RFP said, submit what you want. So we were told then, after we went all that work, nope, we can only submit large hangars. So our company didn't want to be thrown out of the RFP, so we submitted large hangars. So again, we received on April 25th that our proposal was not accepted because they want only large hangars on Site A. not wanting to be thrown out of the RFP process. 2 weeks later, we retooled, redesigned, and we resubmitted the RFP showing large hangars on Site A. Something you'll notice is different about ours than the prior one in May is that they were both facing here, and there was a high likelihood that we're going to lose our tie downs. This project, you don't lose any tie downs, and it keeps the ramp internal. This was our resubmitted RFP, Site A. Again, not to take everybody's time, but that's what we resubmitted. Okay, now fast forwarding just a very short time. We have submitted the RFP per the original requirement. It was rejected because they only wanted big hangars in Site A. We resubmitted that, and we heard nothing. We never heard a thing until we read about it in the newspaper. So on May 17th, I let everybody in the board and the airport manager know, and the subject line was stunned. And it was several issues. But we read about in the paper that our RFP was rejected and that the Jet Center went into exclusive negotiation per the airport management's selecting them. We were never told thank you. We were never notified that we didn't qualify. We were just eliminated. Not only the big hangars, but also Site B for the general aviation population. Had they just awarded us that site, we could have at least gone to work and find a solution for the displaced 60 GA pilots right now, but that wasn't even in this. We weren't told of anything. We just read about it in the paper. And much to my disgust, I sent this letter to the airport. And I asked him to table the agenda item so that we can have a public forum on this. Never received an answer to this email. So, yeah, I'm pretty involved in this deal. Again, it's not about me or the Jet Center, but I'm very disgusted of how the RFP was handled and the lack of correspondence and transparency in the entire process. Now, I've been making some highlights about what the RFP was and what was required and the criteria to advance that RFP. So now I'm going to show you what happened because I couldn't figure out why our RFP wasn't even considered. So I did a CORA request. Okay, now fast forward. I've accepted the fact we weren't awarded it. I asked for a CORA request. I asked to see what were the other proposals so that my company could understand next time we go into this process what we did wrong. Very standard operating procedures. What did we do wrong while we weren't selected? So I did a CORA request. I actually asked for the other RFPs, which I was denied. So I did a CORA request with Loveland to get the information on who else submitted and what did they submit. So there was 2 other submittals. I'm hearing maybe now there was a third, but a fourth, because we were one, the Jet Center was one, and there was an aviation group that put together one. And so we got a copy of the CORA request. And those of you in government that understand public transparency, I think you might be a bit offended by this, but this is one of the requests that I got back. And the black blocks are redactions, which is fine. If there's information that shouldn't be disclosed to the public, a redaction is a perfect way to do that. Again, we got no rates that we compared with. Now, when we were requested to allow a CORA on ours, we didn't redact anything. We had nothing to hide. But again, all of the information that we would need to compare ours to our competitors was redacted. We did get some plans. We got some ideas that were submitted. And I think you can compare the RFPs and come to your own conclusions. After you see these pages, this is what we received on a core request. And I hate to take your time with this, but I think it's important for the public to know what's going on at our airport. It's a little bit hard to compare our projects, don't you think? And if you think I'm a little bit disheartened with the public process, I think you know why I'm producing this video. Here's the other proposal. I don't need to know tax ID numbers. I have no problem with that redaction. I do, however, have problems with trying to compare. Why wouldn't that be public knowledge? It's a public airport. This one is the Jet Center's proposal. Here is the financial capacity, but redacted who. There's the team of the Jet Center. There is their proposal, same one that they did, same one they had done in May 26th, the exact same proposal they had given the subcommittee. Again, this was from our core request. Area B that we proposed 120 new hangars on, one of our competitors proposed 1 row of T hangars. So taking out the entire Lear drive for 1 row just didn't really make a lot of sense to us, but that's fine, well within their right. Here's a reference letter for them. We don't know when, who signed it. Again, one of the things that's important to me is fairness, transparency. Remember when I mentioned this earlier? Incomplete proposals will not be considered. Neither of the two competitors of ours on the RFP completed the RFP. Probably less than 50% of the mandatory questions were answered. I'm not disrespecting them, but I think it would be nice to know the truth of what was compared and just throw all of our stuff out on the table and find out what decision is driving the airport and why. Since we received all the redacted information, I've written both the airport manager and Steve Adams at Loveland, and I told him I just can't even tell you my disdain for the mass redacted core documents. I went on to say, to be crystal clear, I want correspondence unredacted that was submitted by third parties in the RFP. This was dated January 10th this year. It's now March 9th. I've received no response to this. So, folks, if you want to know why you get 3-day notice for a secret meeting, if you want to know why our airport is broke, if you want to know why you're being evicted, you better get involved and you better demand answers, because there's something wrong at our airport. And I love this airport, and I have giant visions for this airport. And I don't care whether I do this project or not. In fact, I'll make the statement today that if the airport came to me and said, Martin, do that project, I won't do it. I will pass it to anybody that wants to do it, but I'm not here for personal gain. I'm not here for personal financial gain. I don't want to do that project. I want the GA population to have a fair chance to stay at our airport. And this, in my opinion, has never been a fair chance. I feel it's been a finger on the scale since it started, and I don't know why, but I know that in my world, in the capitalistic world, you go broke when you do this. And I think we're understanding why our airport's broke. I will be doing follow-ups to this, and if anybody has questions, you can simply go through this thing. You can send me the questions. And again, if I'm misrepresenting anything in any way, I'm taking liability by doing this deal. I have nothing to gain but transparency for our airport. Thank you for listening.